So my name is Dominic Butler. I'm the lead game designer for Ghost Recon Wildlands. So today we're really excited to bring you guys in and actually put your hands directly on the build. Playing today on PlayStation 4, you're able to play solo in Itaqua for a couple of hours and really get to grips with the game, play as you want, move as you want, do some side activities, do some story, really discover the province. And then later on, you're going to play some co-op, 4-player co-op, and jump into Montayoc, a much more difficult province, but you'll be able to play together and kind of explore those options that you discovered in the first one.
Dominic, what did you guys learn from the previous Tom Clancy Ghost Recon games that you're applying and making better in Ghost Recon Wildlands?
So Ghost Recon is at its heart a tactical military shooter, and the team that have built previous Ghost Recon games have been working on this. It's really the end goal of all of this was to put the freedom of choice into the players' hands. We know our players are smart, they like to play with the AI, they like to discover that world, and that's really what it came down to. That's what we wanted to apply this time, make sure we keep that Ghost Recon spirit.
What are some of the challenges of making a completely open world sandbox game that allows you to tackle anything in any way you want?
The challenge is really trying to tell a story that is maintained, that's interesting all the way through, and it's a challenge as well, not just to keep it for solo, but to be able to share that with your friends, to have drop in, drop out, where you could play in one way, you could go north for 20 minutes and head towards one province, maybe complete it. I've gone south, I've gone a different direction, and when we join together in the co-op session, we have a way of merging those progressions together and keeping that interesting and dynamic all the way through. That's probably the biggest challenge, but it's one we're really happy to show today.
So you brought back Gunsmith in this game. Talk a little bit about that.
So Gunsmith for us was something we like, but we know it's a fan favorite. It's a way that the players can get really intimate with the weapon. They can get up close and personal, not just with the standard weapon itself, but also the attachments that come with it. These are things that are real aftermarket parts that allow you to customize your weapon and make it the kind of thing you need to bring into battle. So that's scopes, it's magazines, it's barrels. They all affect the weapon in different ways in our ballistic system, but it also allows you to personalize the weapon in a special way.
So there are no classes per se, but you can build your soldier to play how you want to play, right?
That's exactly it. We did look at having a class-based system, but we knew because that total freedom of choice was core to the player experience, we didn't want to lock you into one particular class. We had started building it that way, but we found that when we were playtesting it, people wanted the abilities or the tools and equipment that existed in other classes, and we found it was much easier, it was much better for the players to be able to build up the Ghost exactly the way they wanted it.
So talk a little about like how deep the character system is and the talent system, because I realized I saw drones in there, I saw gun handling, I saw stealth, I saw a ton of different options of how to play your character and how to build him.
So yeah, we do have a long progression system that's there really to support players. We don't want to overwhelm you with too many options right from the beginning. Of course, your ghosts, your masters of your environment, you can drive any vehicle, you can steal planes and helicopters, you can do all that cool stuff, and you can use any weapon you find in the field. You will be able to upgrade your character with basically access to new tools, new equipment. When you have the drone, as you mentioned earlier, it's a standard piece of equipment. Every Ghost has one. It's used for recon. But if you find that you like to use it a lot more and it becomes sort of a core part of your regular play, you can upgrade it with night vision and thermal options, with noise reduction options, with longer battery life, but also offensive options such as explosive payloads or noisemakers or EMP to knock out electrics in a camp, so you can go in, night vision on, and wipe the place out. So really a big part of it for us, it's a dream we've had for a long time on the Ghost Recon franchise. But for us, a big part of that was technical, right? It takes a lot to be able to do this, to have a massive open world that you can move around seamlessly, that you can see lots of different environments. You see that change over time. We have lots of systems running in these worlds, so different faction systems and traffic and weather and day-night and NPC agenda and lots of things going on. And then making that also co-op. It was a massive technical challenge more than anything else, but again, we're really happy with the output.
What are some of the challenges when having so many vehicles in the game and you can pilot so many, from planes, helicopters, dirt bikes, and a variety of cars?
So we do have lots of different vehicle types, and it is fun to just take what you need as you're going through the world. I guess the challenge for us came from making sure that when we presented challenges to the player in the form of missions, forms of side content, that we were always taking that into account, right? That we couldn't ever fully predict what the player was going to do, and that was totally okay. And that came from right at the start saying, look, we absolutely commit ourselves to putting the power back in the player's hands. And so that informed every design decision. So as soon as we would catch ourselves saying, oh, we're going to take a plane and go to here, maybe they don't take a plane, maybe they go by jeep, maybe they grab a bike, maybe they go on water. It's a case of making sure that we support all those options and make them all fun.
You guys also had a heavy amount of visual customization options at the start of the game. Talk a little bit about that.
So we have our character smiths, so that right from the very beginning of the game, that freedom of choice manifests itself in terms of how you look. So you can choose different gender, race, hair, extra tattoos, things like that, as well as the gear and equipment you take out into the field. So it's how your ghost looks, and then your loadout is how they're going to play. And that loadout can be upgraded and augmented all the way through the game.
So talk about how big this world is that you can explore.
The short version is it's massive. It's the largest action adventure open world we've ever done at Ubisoft. But really, more than specifics on size, it's set in Bolivia, which is an incredibly beautiful place. But the great part for us as world builders is that it's a very environmentally diverse place. It's got 11 different biomes that we're representing in the games. You've got like icy snow-peaked caps, you've got the death road, you've got salt plains, you've got jungles and swamplands and kind of everything in between. And these things don't just make it visually rich and diverse, but they also change the way that you approach your missions in those areas, whether it be very long range draw distance where you can see camps coming from a long way away, but they can see you coming. Then you've got dense jungles and very kind of flat marshlands where you're coming in by boat, and it completely changes your dynamic, changes the challenge as you move through the world.
So let's talk about how the gameplay changes when you have real partners instead of AI partners.
So when you're playing in solo, you're going to have 3 AI teammates. When you go to co-op, we're going to be able to play with 2, 3, or 4 players. And really, we wanted to make sure that the game stayed as similar as possible when you were playing in solo or co-op. You don't have a specific solo progression, for example. You just have your Ghost Recon Wildlands progression. You're always playing the game. So even if your friends aren't available, you're going to keep pushing your own story forward. But when you jump in with friends, we merge your progressions together so that you can keep playing. You can play missions you haven't done yet that neither of you have done. And you're going to advance that progression that's going to stay with you when you go offline. Or you can replay missions maybe that they haven't done yet. And whatever you want to do, we wanted to remove all those barriers from play.
So talk a little bit about the progression system, because there's no levels in this game. You're not leveling up when you kill things. You find skill points in the map, and you get additional skill points for completing objectives.
Mm-hmm. So in fact, we do have a leveling system that does exist. It's quite a passive one. It's not at the forefront of the experience, but we do want to encourage certain playstyles and certain actions in the game. But for sure, you are going to be discovering skill points. You're going to be discovering resources that you're going to use to upgrade and augment your character and be a better ghost.
What are you most excited about for people to experience with Ghost Recon Wildlands?
I think it's that moment when what we've seen here and what we've seen when we do playtests internally and externally is that moment fairly soon after they start playing, when they see this kind of big open world, and then they realize that they can go anywhere and they can do anything, and it can seem a little daunting at first, but then they quickly dive in and they find themselves chasing convoys or stealing helicopters or just driving just to see what's over that hill. I think that's the fun part for us.
And when does Ghost Recon Wildlands come out?
Ghost Recon Wildlands comes out March 7th for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.